It's back at live show with MinkLife Motivation. I want to ask you a question. Do you want more leads? If so, stick around for our show. We've got a great one today. Hey, everyone. It's Colleen Stribby, the follow-up fortune finder, and I am here with my co-host, Sherry McManus, and we are going to talk a little bit today about power partners in networking, and we want you to be part of the conversation. So we want you to be that co-host on the couch. So as we're talking through these questions, we'd love for you to go ahead and answer them too. Just put it in the chat. If you got questions, pop them in the chat. Be part of this conversation we're getting ready to have. So first question up for Miss Sherry. So why are you passionate about helping people with networking using that zone of genius?
Yeah, that's a great question. Linking people together is so fun. That's the simple form. But really, I had to actually work on this. Prior to starting our own business, my husband and I, we are executive coaches and corporate trainers. And prior to this, I just worked in a corporate environment 24/7. It was not that much of a networking and making connections. We learn about it. We kind of, you teach it, but to really walk the walk with it, it's a whole different facet. So as I learned and kind of leaned into, especially building your own business in the first couple of years, you got to do it. And there's two school of thought. Either you do it the short way and you go to a networking function and start passing out your cards like a poker player, or number two, you actually are in it for the long game, not for the short game. And what I mean by that, because I didn't know that growing in, I was like, what are you talking about long game? What is this? What are you talking about? Well, relationships are key. And when you find the connection and you switch your mindset of how can I help others first, the rest will follow. And that's how we've built our business the last 5 years. That has grown our business to the $500,000 in our fifth year of business, and also to 8 contractors that we have working as a team. So if it hadn't been for the short game, we wouldn't have made it to where we are today. So that's why I think, and I'm passionate about networking, because I've seen the fruits when those seeds have been planted with other people, and we even gotten clients out of it. And either a year later, be like, you know what, you and I made a connection a year ago, and you helped me with XYZ, and now I came back, and I need your help now. Fantastic, right? So the seeds that we sow are so huge. That's why networking. That's what fires me up regarding that, as you can tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're on the same wavelength, right? So yeah, I've been doing this networking thing for 20 plus years, and when you first start out, that's what they kind of say, oh, go talk to everyone in the room. And I've done some network marketing, and they're like, oh, anyone within 3 feet is your fair game, you should talk to them. And that was never me. Like, I wasn't the person talking to the person in the grocery store. So but when I went to business networking, I knew everyone was there to network, so it was a little bit easier in that sense. So but yeah, when you're talking about like that long game, it's like it's all about building that relationship and how can you help other people. And that's kind of like my zone, is of the fact of like connecting people at a strategic partner level. It's like, ooh, I don't want to just give you one lead who might need your service, right? It's like, who can I give you that's going to have a lot of people that need your service, so that you guys can actually become power partners and do things together, do joint webinars and things like that. So that's kind of the piece that you do. And then you were saying, like, what feeds like my heart is like someone comes up to me and goes, "Oh my God, thank you so much for introducing me to Monica. She's amazing. And now we're doing this and that." And, that feeds my heart, because that you pass along something to somebody that really helped them. And it doesn't have to be like dollar wise, right? I always say it's there's social currency too, right? It's like, who do you know? Who can you build that social currency with, so that, like you were saying, years later, someone comes back and says, "Oh, thank you so much." And you might not even realize that they're still watching you, right? Especially now with social media. We meet somebody and they're watching us as we go. And then, a year later, a month later, they send you and say, "Oh, I'm ready to get started." I'm like, "I didn't even know you were looking."
Right. That's one person that taught me. He said to me, "You know what? Somebody's always looking.
Yep.
Somebody's always watching." And I was like, "Oh, it's not about the likes. It's not about the followers. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
all. That's all well and good to a degree, but someone's always they got the lurkers, right? Especially
Yep.
if you're living in the social media world. And yeah, I have followers per se, but you know what? I know there's lurkers, and that's okay, because and I know I have a lurker or more, because I there was a misspelling on a post that I had, and meanwhile I review it and have my husband look through it the whole thing, but there was one little word, and they actually messaged me on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, you might want to redo your post. There's this
Yep.
word." I'm like, "You don't even post on my
Yeah,
post."
why aren't you commenting,
I was like,
right?
And luckily I knew her, so it was pretty cool. But at the same token, I was just like, wow. I was like, okay. So it just kind of a case in point where, it's like, hey, you have a misspelling.
Yeah. I do that for people sometimes. And it's weird because, like, I can't spell, because I wasn't taught phonics per se when I was little. So, but I can see if something's not spelled correctly typically. And and I do that. And normally don't do, like, it's like, "Oh, I want you to be," to me, that's professional, right? Some people are like, "Oh, well, it's okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's okay. It's not like it's a big deal, but if you can make it just a smidgen better, why not?"
Right.
Right. So that's the
Right.
way I look at it. So, and help people.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So our next question. So we need to get motivated, right? We want to look at being motivated when we're out there networking. So why is power partnering especially important for professionals to really thrive in their life and business?
So why is it important? Is that what we're asking?
Yeah, like, why should we even power partner, right? If you're out there, if you're in your business, why create power partner?
Yeah, that's another great question. And speaking as as a business owner, being in this field for a little while now, I'm still. I mean, 5 years is a huge milestone. So
Mhm.
I'm very proud in that far, and I hope to have that legacy years from now. And having these partnerships, especially as you go along in your business, depending where you are in your journey, is that your legacy is going to help with the amount of people that you bring with you, right? And same thing with leadership. And just it's not lonely at the top. There is that phrase, right? "Oh, it's lonely at the top." Well, you're doing it wrong, personally, because if you're lonely at the top, then you forgot to look back and help all the people that you maybe stepped upon, that maybe helped to get you where you are, right? And as what we're talking about networking, and we're talking about the partnerships, wow, like when you can turn back and have a helping hand, it's such a win-win. And a colleague of mine, she said, and I love the phrase where about how all when the tide comes in, all the boats rise.
Right.
And that's such a visual. I'm a visual person, so to me, that makes sense. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a win-win situation. So having these strategic partners of, it could be a couple, it could be more than that. It can actually compound your residual income. It can compound your relationships in a good way. So there's so much to be said when you're intentional regarding the partnerships that you have.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like when you surround yourself with amazing people, you get to do amazing things. So, and the MinkLife world, if you have not checked out our co-working space or any of that, you definitely need to do it, because we've got some amazing people there, and they really help. It's like when you're looking at power partnering, it's like, Monica and I have worked together. We've co-created things together. Peggy gave me the opportunity to help her in her course. I so appreciate, the opportunity to be able to share some knowledge that I had in the networking arena. And when you have really great power partners, they're there to look out for you, right? So if they see something, they're like, oh my God, you got to check this out, right? So really looking at those power partners as, your cohorts in your business life, right? If you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, it can be lonely out there. So if you have people that you can kind of do this journey with, it for me, it makes it more fun, right? It's if I'm doing work with other people, it's more fun. We can and then you can also tap into their strengths. So like, if I need someone to kick me in the butt to get something done, you have somebody there to help keep you accountable. And the fact that you can, with power partners, really co-create things in webinars and tap into each other's market is amazing. So I think that's one of the great things about why you really should to look into these power partners and figure those out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So let's think about how can we stay inspired when we're talking about our power partners, and think about is how can we understand who your true power partners are, and the problem for you in the past, and how did you overcome those? So like, if you had a power partner, is there ways that you like go, oh, this is a great power partner, or I thought this might be a good power partner, but then they weren't? How did you kind of navigate those waters of, the power partners?
Yeah, actually, it's a very trial and error. I have to say that it's what you think from the beginning of your business to where as you grow into your business could be, you know, could be different, right? And it will be different, in my opinion, and in my experience so far on my business journey. But you have to think as big or large, especially if you're a visionary, is to find out what is going to complement your business and whatever that you have. And then you kind of back up a little bit and find out what your true passion is and what is your why. Your why of your business is your North Star. It should be your North Star. So on those days where you just want to like, oh my gosh, I want to give up, right? Should I go back to corporate or should I go back to work, right? Think about your why. Oh, that's why I'm doing this, right? So when you have partnerships, think about your core values. So to me, it really dove into the personal development side and to find out what is important to me, what are our core values, and to find like-minded people that resonate with those core values. And you grow those relationships. So that's a start. So if you've never done that before, like what the heck is a partner? Where do I even go? Where do I even start? Think about yourself first, and it's not being selfish. It's actually figuring out your core values. What's important to me? What are things that I cannot live without? And then what are the things that are like, I don't have time for that, right? Those are the boundaries. We're like, no, I don't care. This, and this is important to me. And if you don't check off those boxes, then you can be over there, right? We can be acquaintances, but you can stand over there. And we've had to do that, especially in the beginning, the first couple of years of our business. We're like, I like everyone and everything until you give me a reason not to. But then, as you find out that their core values are not the same, or you could just tell that people are just out for the money, let's say, or maybe just their intentions are aligned. So when you do find people that are like, oh my gosh, yeah, and you start clicking, like Monica and I, like for example, we met through networking and we just clicked with some of the things that have resonated with us. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you build upon that and to find out and to thinking of the person first and be like, how can I help you? How can I help your network? And to give value to people first. And that's another lesson that I have learned through my journey in being a business owner, that no matter what your product or service is, you are a business owner first before your product, doing your product and service, whatever it may be. And that's a huge mindset shift, um,
Mm.
between the first time when you start doing your business and you're like, yay, I'm great at this. That's great. But shifting you, I am a business owner doing XYZ business. That is a total shift. And now you're not treating your business as a baby, which a lot of people do, right? They're like, oh, it's my baby. And, let's not do that. You got to
Yeah.
think of it as that business mindset. So lo and behold, starting with those power partners, and it is a little bit of a trial and error in that sense, but you'll figure out and navigate it. And again, you're thinking long term, not short term. So I think that's the long of the answer there. But I think that is the crux of it, especially if you're just starting out, or maybe waiting for their next level.
Yeah, and sometimes power partners, if they don't turn into power partners, maybe they're just referral partners, or they're going to send you business, or you send them business somehow. But a true power partner is somebody that you're really going to kind of be in the trenches with, right? You in both, and I love the idea you were saying about the core values, because they do have to align, right? So if you're kind of not questioning them, then it's not going to be a good in the trenches kind of thing, right? You don't want to hang out with these people all the time if they're
Right,
not matching your core values, right?
right.
So, and that's the thing, your power partners. I mean, over the years, I've had power partners that you end up doing lots of stuff together. You go to lunches every week and you really mastermind about your business. And that's where you can really find when you're in sync, it works amazing, right? And then if you're not, it's just a matter of switching, and maybe it's just switching the title, right? From that, they can be great. They could be a referral source. You could share them. They could just be somebody in your sphere of influence. And Monica said they were talking about core values yesterday on the branding show. So if you need a little more help with core values and thinking about that, go check out the show, and then of course there's always resources here.
Yeah.
So now that we are inspired, right? So this is now my favorite. It's probably it's like, let's keep networking, right? So
Right.
the networking is my heartbeat in peace. So who should we ask for help when we're trying to build that network? So you're out there kind of maybe just getting started, or you've been in it for a while and now you're like, okay, it's time to switch things up. Like, who would you go to ask for help?
Yeah. So to start, so I'll first start out with, let's say you're just starting out, like you mentioned that example for that, right? Is to get out there, right? We can hide behind computers all day long, but you got to get out the door, and that's a mentor advice that was given to us when we first started, right? And start networking, and to find where the people are. Go on meetups, go and look at your local events, and try to go in person if you can. Now, the pre-pandemic days, this is, when we started our business, that was the thing. Like, you got to go outside your door and stop hiding behind your computer. And then the pandemic happened and everybody decided to do the virtual thing, which I thought was amazing because I got through so many like borders, like, of around the world that I've never
Mhm.
been able to talk to. I mean, you're talking Australia. I mean, talk about a like time shift. Trying to organize that was a little rough, but I made it happen. But Canada and other parts of the U.S. So it was really, really awesome to connect with people through the computer and actually having these conversations, which were amazing. And some are still, I connect with to this day. We had the intentions of working as power partners. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but at least we can still kind of tap into each other and be like, hey, how's it going? How can I look out for you? Or who should I look out for you in that sense? So that's a start for number one. Go outside, find out, and really, and and just try, you don't have to go a million. Please don't do that. I think that's the worst thing anybody can do, because you get really tired out when you're doing this circle. And it's funny, because when we first started our business, there was a whole pocket of us that did the same thing. And it just kind of happened that way. We're just like, hey, I just saw you, and it was like the fifth one in one day, um, where it's like, yeah, this is my, this is my
That's how you
third one
build a
today.
true relationship.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. I was just like, okay, that's a lot, right? You just kind of beat the pavement and try everything and anything, which is okay. But I wouldn't do that for too long. You
Mhm.
burn yourself out, and you'll end up being more social than actually for. I guess you forget like what to be intentional. But again, those are the lessons that you have to learn. But this is what we're here to talk about, right? Is to be intentional. So try to, yes, get out of the door, get away from your computer for a little bit, carve out maybe one a week, right? That's a start. And then be intentional when you go to these networking events. Instead of being that poker player, is to be, let's connect three people. Who can I give value to and have a genuine connection for at least three people? You don't have to meet everybody in the room. There's now, I'm getting to a level where I'm just like, I don't even know half the people, but I at least had really good conversations for at least three people, and I could walk out there, be like, that was worthwhile, right? And then there's other times in the beginning when I was networking, that I was trying to meet everybody in the room, and it was exhausting. And not everybody is your cup of tea. So that's
Right.
another mind shift where, like, don't think that you have a product and service and just be like, I can help everyone. No, you can't. And I wouldn't want you to.
You
You
don't
know,
want to, right?
I'll
That's
never
why
forget. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
now go ahead.
No, just a quick story. There was another coach friend of mine that he shares the same thought. And, if you're like a skincare product person, right, but if you're selling like a skincare product, and they're like, okay, what's your ideal client? And she goes, oh, anybody that has
Give
skin.
me
Like,
skin.
no,
We've been
no.
at the same meeting.
Yeah, I think we had the same meeting. It's like, I can help. And it's just so, and it's like you bless your heart. You know what I mean? Like, you just want to be like, oh, like, come over here and let me give you some tips.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it just, yeah. So please, like, please listen to, like, folks that have been down the path that can save you some embarrassment and some heartache, and then frustration, because you're like, oh, but I went to all these things and I don't have any clients. I'm like, well, you're thinking it wrong. You should not be looking as a network opportunity to look for clients. That's the worst thing that you can do. Yes, we make that mistake, but acknowledge that and then switch it and be like, oh, wait a minute.
Mhm.
How can I give value to people? How can I help? And then that's where you'll find people and start clicking with people, and eventually find your power partners and what we're talking about here. It takes time. Trust me, I was frustrated too, so I can get it. I'm just like, man, I'm like, this sucks. Like, I'm like, is this really gonna happen? But I kept, kept
Yeah,
trucking
kept
along,
doing
and
it,
yeah,
right?
kept doing it. And so it does take time, but don't get frustrated, and be around people that have that motivation and intention. Again, line up with your core values. Those, because those are your biggest fans, to be honest. And I was going to add to your point earlier about, power partners that you just kind of help each other along in the trenches, and
Mhm.
those are your biggest fans, right? And that's what
Right.
you want.
Yeah, so like you were saying, when you're going to these networking events, don't necessarily, I mean, obviously you see if someone's a customer, right? But
Right.
go with the intention of looking, it's like, who could be a great power partner for me,
Yeah.
and look at in that. I mean, I'm always looking for more networking events. So
Yeah.
because that's a perfect piece for me, is because what I do in helping people with follow-up, it's I want to get to somebody who runs a networking meeting because I can help their members, right? So it's
Yeah.
all about, a win-win-win situation, for that. And it's the one time I tell people, it's like, they say, do what I say, not what I do, right? And people, oh no, you have to walk the walk, right? And I'm like,
Yes.
that's true, except in this area where let me go to all the networking stuff,
Ah, yeah.
kind of figure it out for you, and then come back and say, hey, this is an all women's group. This would be a great fit for you. The people in this group are more holistic healthcare, things like that. That would be a great group for you. That
Yeah.
way, like you said, everyone doesn't have to do all the groups all the time, right?
Right.
Kind of tap into people and ask them, right? I mean, we were talking about like, who do you go for help? Like, ask the person who runs the group, what's
Yeah.
the demographic of the group? Who's there typically? A lot of times I run into different networking groups where it's great for an entrepreneur because there's a lot of entrepreneurs in there, a lot of service-based people, things, but a big company, a big business, it's not a good fit for them.
Yeah.
Or like there's other networking groups that are a great fit for a C-suite person, right?
Mhm.
So you just have to kind of understand the group you're going to go see, right? And if you can do a little research ahead of time,
Mhm.
that's usually the best way to do it. So,
Yeah,
and I usually ask either a member of that chapter or the meeting that you're going to, or the person that's running it. They're going to tell you. Now, they might tell you all the rosy stuff about it, but at least you'll get a vibe of how the group's going to be before you show up. So,
yeah, yeah, no,
because every
absolutely.
group is different, right? I mean,
Oh, definitely.
so.
Yeah, and you want to try different groups too. I mean, I think that's another just kind of step in the right direction too. You want to try different groups, just to see, right? I mean, you don't know until you step into it, and then you walk in, just have a nice time, be like, no,
Yeah.
you're like, but see, you don't know what you don't know. So if I hadn't been and stepped out of my house to try some of those networking events, I would still be sitting here today going like, well, I don't know because I never tried it. Now I can
Right.
confidently say going, oh, I've been to several of them and here is the demographic
Right.
and this would be good for you or that would not be good for you, kind of thing. So I think that's always a kicker too. But I love sharing that information to people because it's not like there's a class about this.
Right.
They're just not. That's why it's always good to speak up or just share in what we're doing today. Really, just like listen to people that do it.
Yeah. So speaking of sharing,
Yeah.
so now we're at the get knowledge section of our wonderful show here. So what's that one tip that you can give to help people really boost their influence while they're networking?
Boost their influence. There's just too many. Too many to share.
I was gonna say if you go back, if you guys were listening at all, we already gave you a bunch, but here
I
let's give
know.
you one more. How's that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I forgot what's the question again? All
Uh,
right.
just a tip on networking on how to really boost your influence on networking.
Okay, tip for boosting your influence. Okay, let's see. What other nugget we can shell out here? So, I think just having the confidence, making sure your business and service is a solution for someone, and knowing it as much as you can inside and out to actually have conversations. So confidence on the short end here. So the confidence should be like, I know my product and service is great, right? But also too, your personality and your mindset is not all about the Benjamins, even though yes, at the end of the day it's a business. We all need to pay our bills and whatnot. But to think about valuing someone else, right? So I think that confidence is really, it boils down, and to get to know your business, get to know yourself a little bit, and what you like, what you don't like. And again, that could be trial and error, but I think the best is that again, that confidence of be like, no, I know I have a great solution for folks. And it's just a matter of talking, having a conversation, asking questions, and making connections with folks.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I mean, really helping people step out of their comfort zone and just
Mhm.
be confident with it, right? Just go out there. And usually there's somebody there in the room that's there to help you. So if you have questions and things like that, I think when we're talking about influence and stuff, I always go back to, connections are key. And you said relationships are key. It's all about, you know, you build influence in networking and stuff by helping other people, right?
Mhm.
You become influential because they see you as that resource person. So anytime that you can lead with your heart and go and be able to connect with other people, I think is ideal.
Mhm.
So tip is, and we were talking about, don't go, for this fact of like, oh, I need to get a client here. Go for like, how can I help somebody else? And that other, the client stuff and all will come with it, right? Because someone will go, oh my God, you need to go talk to Sherry because she's amazing. We talked about Monica, like, oh my God, you need to go talk to Monica because she's amazing. That will come because you've built that great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely, and it works every time. I'm
yep.
telling you, if you could try that at least once and get that ball rolling, I'm telling you, it will come back and multiply. And that's where the excitement and the joy truly comes from, when you can actually help another people and make that come alive. And you're like, oh wow, that's so cool. That I'm glad that it worked out for that. That is it. And then that's how you get those raving fans, just like we were
Yep.
talking about. Like, oh my gosh, you got to talk to Colleen. Oh my gosh, you got to talk to Monica. There's your raving fan. I mean, I don't know how many times that people come up to us, they're just like, oh my gosh, that people can't shut up about you. They're like, I must
Well,
talk to you. I have no idea why, but I have to talk to
there
you.
you go. Well, speaking of that, so how do people get connected with you, Sherry?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am all about LinkedIn. So, and I'm also on Facebook as well, but LinkedIn. So we'll have the link right below. So check that out. But I also have my email in the chat. So I love to connect. Love to connect. See how I can help somebody in my network. You never know. If I don't know, I know somebody in my network. So let's connect. I love having
Yeah,
conversations.
perfect. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I definitely am going to jump in your LinkedIn. So, and for me, we've been talking about networking. You're out there going to all these networking events. You need to do the follow up. So why not come do it with us? Have fun getting the follow up done. We do the fall in love with follow up experience, and now we're offering where you can actually do level one for free. So you'll have there's the link, fall in love with followup.com. Just pick a time, jump on my calendar, or actually schedule your first time to do that follow up. Let us help you walk through it, get it done. We're going to guarantee results because you're going to meet some new people. So, all right. I think Monica's going to come and tell us all about the wonderful things that are happening in the Mink life world. And we've got some amazing things going on.
Yeah, so if you've enjoyed today's show, guess what? We're here every single solitary week. That's right, on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time or Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. You can join the conversation just by dropping your comments in the chat and chime in along with our co-hosts. But if you feel like, oh my God, I can't sit and watch this because I'm on the go, you're in luck. We are on the go. We're at all the podcast locations you can possibly find. So you can find us on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Apple Podcasts, and anywhere that you find your favorite podcast, we are there. So check us out. But if you say, you know what, Monica, I think I want to be on the actual show. I want to sit up there like Colleen and Sherry. Well, guess what? You can be on the show. That's right. You can join us right here on screen by going to www.minklifemotivation.com/live, where you can apply to be on the show. We are so excited that you guys are here. And guess what? You get a little more of Colleen next week on Wednesday. So you're going to join her again to boost your influence. Continue having this conversation about power partnering. And if you are willing and able to join us, we have some awesome speakers coming together this weekend, but we are also looking for speakers for the future. So check it out.
Calling all dynamic speakers. So many people are struggling. Together, we have the power to create a global impact. We are looking for dynamic speakers to partner with us in our mission to help millions live healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. We need speakers in 4 areas of expertise: personal development, business development, brand development, network development. Apply today at www.nextglobalvirtualconference.com.